Good morning, everybody. GM. Welcome to Wealth Wednesday. Welcome. November 19th. Excited to have you all here. I came across this last night and it just made me laugh quite a bit. And the context it came up in was in creating your life by design. So, have you guys seen this meme before or any versions of it? Because man, there's a whole conversation just in this little piece here that you know depicts and covers what we do, what we're up to as entrepreneurs and conscious creators. Is this new to everybody? Am I the only one who researches memes? Oh man. According to Elon Musk, the meme is the most effective form of communication. Good. New to Paul, but he gets it. So this is the 99%. We'll say the 90%. Then we have the bottom 5% and we got the top 5%. And the top 5% and the bottom 5% for some reason usually have the right answer. I don't know why. We can get into why maybe. But the main middle where the majority of people are, they get it wrong all the time and they're the ones that are the loudest, experience the worst side of things, right? Like this guy, kind of dumb, super dumb, lowest on the IQ score. And he understands just move around. We got the ninja, Super Saiyan, genius, 180 IQ point, mega brain. He understands just move around. But everyone else here in the middle, this guy right here is the normie, is the guy in the rat race, the person who, the Karen. If we could use another internet meme. Sorry to all the people named Karen. They got a they got a rough deal. Anyway, this is the person that says real estate's too hard. The game is over. We're too late. It's not worth it. It's too risky. Blah blah blah. And then they also complain about prices are too high and banking sucks and just just move around, guys. You're not stuck. You can have the life you want by design in the exact proportions you want, but you got to move around. So that's what we're doing here. We're moving around. We're making things happen. And GM, tell the new people. I want to show you one other random but very interesting piece about why you need to get clear on your goals. Let's see if I can bring this up here. Zoom, switch. Does everyone know who Shohei Ohtani is? Shohei Ohtani. This is Shohei Ohtani's dream board. Okay, now this is a new style dream board I've never seen before. And Shohei Ohtani is the Babe Ruth of baseball right now. Okay, he's the best pitcher. He's the best home run hitter. He never takes a day off. He works in the major leagues in America. He also does the Japanese major leagues. The guy is a champ. And this is his vision board that he wrote when he was, how old was he? 12, 16. He was a child. He was a kid when he wrote this. Where did he do it? In high school. He was a high school freshman. He created his dream sheet with one central goal to become the #1 draft pick for 8 teams, which he did. So anyway, we don't necessarily have to go into the whole methodology of all of this, but is very interesting. 64 squares, pitch variance, speed, sharpness, control, body, mental toughness, personality, karma. Isn't that something? Pick up trash, keep room clean, show respect to umpires. That guy, seriously, he is the coolest baseball player. I don't even care about baseball that much, but dedicated to winning, don't make waves. Very, very cool. And then it came true for him, even more impressive. So there it is in Japanese. Anyway, guys, you can have the life you want by design. It is required that you put that time in so that it could be delivered to you, right? It'd be like sitting at the restaurant. You got this menu of the universe. You can order anything, and you sit there silently. That's a risky way to live. Not for me. Not for a lot of us. So, bagua. Looks like bagua. I'm not sure what that is. I
Looks
know
like
Wagwan.
a mind map, almost.
Say it again.
It looks like a mind map, almost, but like more geometric.
Yeah, way more geometric and just exactness, right? It's not much flow, but wow. And it worked. That's a really cool thing. Is he is the best baseball player in the world and humble, like just yeah, a great example. That's my point. I wanted to bring it up to remind you guys. You can have the life by design if you just sit down and design it. All right, quote of the day. Get this over here. Quote of the day is by Robert Schuller, and he said, "Tough times never last, but tough people do." That's why we have the phrase "don't quit," right? Tough times never last, but tough people do. And I think he had something in there about mental toughness, didn't he? Oh, GM. He did have something here about mental toughness. Right here. Mental toughness. Be considerate to teammates. Don't get caught up in the flow. Calm mind, burning heart. Oh, interesting. Calm mind, burning heart. Don't let plays affect emotions. Set clear goals. Thrive on adversity. That's it right there. Tough people last, tough times don't. Thrive on adversity. Gosh, what a cool guy. Anyway, if your kids need a role model, check out Shohei Ohtani. GM. Cool. Oh, feng shui. Got it. Celeste, by the way, are you in a spot to give everybody a brief update on your deal, or is that something you want to talk about next week? I know a few people are curious. I am too. How did it go? What's the progress? You got it? Did you buy it? So if you're in a spot at some point today, you want to give us an update, great. Cool. All right. Also, going back to our Helios account. We got a few new people that are very interested in the marketing side, and I was asked to cover putting in orders. So real quick, you got a new person, they're ready to sign up. Come over to the orders tab here, and normally yours is should be completely filled with pending orders because you're building a gigantic team. In the meantime, over here in the top right, you got your fancy add order button. I don't know why people miss it, but it's right there. And then you're going to take 5 different tabs. We got the customer, product, how are they going to pay, sign for it, confirm, and go from there. But it's essentially the orders tab, add new order, get your customer in. Now, let's say halfway through, I'm just going to make something up here. Halfway through going through the order, you're like, oh, they were going to get their AIT package and their essentials. halfway through, you're like, oh, I don't actually have their credit card number, and they saying, hey, well, send it to me. I'll take care of it. I would way rather handle it myself, but if you do need to send it to them, there's also this button right here, send a customer. Then they'll get an email with a temporary login, and then they can pick up on the order where you left off on these 5 tabs. Okay. And then just a reminder that there's the pay now and pay over time. And you can pick which day to have the payment come out, 1st or the 15th. Now, some people, if it really matters to them and we're past the 15th and you put the 1st, you actually get 2 more weeks, then you get a whole month. So your payment wouldn't actually be due for 2 months if you're past the 15th and you pick the 1st. Some people that matters. Okie dokie, pay over time, pay now, get the discount. And then lastly, if someone does the pay over time and then they get the remaining money, so let's say the initial payment here on this order is $1,600, so they got the remaining balance of $10,000. Then they come up with the $10,000. But if you already put $1,600 down and you're now have the ability to pay in full, well, you would take $1,600 off of the pay now price. So we'd be looking at $7,500 instead of the $10,000. So they would save $2,500 by finding that remaining balance. But only 28 days from the time you put the order in to where that cash discount opportunity expires. After 28 days, then it's just billing. No big deal, but no early payoff opportunity. That only happens within 28 days. Any questions about that? I want you guys to get so used to this order entry page. It's bookmarked on your tabs every time you. Oh, congrats, Aubrey. Aubrey just signed somebody up. It's working. Mitch Maley signing people up. Michelle Torres. It's working. Good job, guys. Sweet. All right. Wealth Wednesday. Okay, we've talked a lot about the upcoming events and being a promoter. Let me just clear this filter here. So we got Live Education Week, and then we got Super Saturday. Now I am going to a workshop. This was planned over a year ago, but I'm going to go to a workshop in Florida the weekend. So otherwise I'd go hang out with you guys in Utah. We'd be there for Super Saturday. But dang it, guys, double booked. So although I will not be there, I will be at a workshop. So very important weekend. Excuse me. Okay. Sweet. All right. Everything's working, guys. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Okay, so before we Daine gets here, wanted to make a space for you guys to be able to ask questions or get clarity on anything. I have been working on a few things that Daine teaches for deals in Nashville. I was telling you guys on Monday, I got a few more things to wrap up here around the property, and then I'll have about 15 hours a week more to be working on real estate opportunities. So I got the commercial units, I have the mobile home park, got the RV park that's being built, and those things are very operational. right? I got to be hands-on for the RV park, or somebody does, because every day there's check-in, check-outs. We're also going to be selling propane. We're going to have a snack stand. We're going to be able to pull six figures out of this deal, but it's a day-to-day, like, people checking on their RVs all night too. They're coming in at all hours. So pros and cons. It'll only cost me 100,000 to make the park, but I will be able to make 100,000 in a year. So pros and cons. And then I may be able to sell it as a package deal the following year or keep it. I don't know. But that's all operational. When we're looking at Daine's thing, it's not operation. This methodology is more, it's not even management either. It's just acquisitions, right? It's just buy this and then buy this and then buy this and set it there and let it just grow and grow and grow. And I think the approach when I've been reaching out to realtors and telling them the problem that we solve, they get intimidated. You can't be too aggressive because depends on what they think about a real estate investor is, right? Because some realtors look at them as competition and others look at them as clients. And so if you get the wrong realtor, it's a closed door. So anyway, been calling around. The assignment Daine gives us, if you want to start out on this method, is call 10 realtors or real estate agents, because realtors are brand, and call 10 mortgage officers and say, who do you know that's trying to buy a house, but essentially the bank flipped them the bird and said, pound sand, good luck, and denied them. Because we can complete that deal. And if you know anyone, let me know. And reaching out. And some of the realtors were like, oh, no, we got it. We got it. Others were like, oh, we don't do that. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't do that? We're getting people houses. But then a few people were like, and this is the cool thing that you'll find when you start to sort things out, you'll find someone who gets it and will bring you their own clients. And so I'm gonna have Daine share a story about that as well. But it's asset acquisition time, guys. Oh, I remember one other thing I wanted to show you guys that might speed up your action. But let me read Aubrey's question real quick. My leads who just bought essentials are thinking of also getting the AIT 2 learning paths so they can make more money. Oh, they sign up as ICMs. Wonderful. I don't see an option for that in the brochure, but it was in the presentation last night. Where can I find out more about the in-house billing for them to add it? Let me show you. Okay, so two things are you can come into the, I believe it's in the corporate docs. No, it's not in the corporate docs. It's in the documents here. Marketing documents. And then we're going to come to the disclosure packet right in here. We got to disclose, got to let them know what they're getting. And then right in here. So there's the 6 sections, and then the billing is section 3. So this one right here, billing. And then it'll go over all the down payments, all the monthlies. But remember that since there's no interest, it's very easy to find the monthly payment. You just divide the remaining balance by the months, and you got your minimum payment. You don't have to carry the one. You don't have to figure out any interest or fractions or anything like that. There's the discount chart right there. And then comp plan is also in this packet. And ways to pay for it. Right here, right under these. So this is a very useful packet. Cash credit, funding, retirement accounts, HELOCs, private funding, life insurance, and in-house billing. So I'll just drop the link to this in the chat here. Boom, boom. Okay. Now, question for you. Over the last 5 years, what has been the monetary expansion rate? How much more money has been added to the world? And when I say money, it's dollars because we're the world reserve currency. The US is. We got the dollars. How many more dollars have been added to the world in the last 5 years? Any guesses? Any guesses?
More than should have been.
Perfect. Yes. The Federal Reserve has been expanding the monetary supply at 11% a year the last 5 years. Okay, so if they are expanding the money supply at 11% a year, what do you think they're going to do the next 5 years? Less, same, or more? So we're at 23 trillion total, 4 trillion in the last 5 years. Yep, yep.
History tells you what's going to happen next.
Yeah, so what are we clear on then?
I think give or take another, well, depends the way things are going. With the constraint, they probably feel like the need is to add more to remediate the stress they've already created.
Right, they created all kinds of crazy stress. Let me bring up this chart here. GM to Daine. Let's do a quick analysis too of this. So this M2 is the global money supply. Okay, M2, global money supply. And if we want to just zoom in on the last 5 years, okay, this is the last 5 years. We went from 15 trillion up to 22.2 trillion. Okay. So when something is increasing at 11% per year, and we are going through the rule of 72, okay, and something is growing at 11% a year, how many years until it doubles? How many years will it take to double an asset's value or whatever? How long will it take to double at 11% a year? If it went from, 3 to 6, or 5 to 10, we're going to double it. At 11, what's the answer? What is it in years? Okay, let's ask a robot. With a CAGR, which is compound annual growth rate of 11%, how many years to double? Answer. You got to remember, you got to tell the robot how to answer. Answer in one line. If you don't tell it one line, it's going to use giant dissertation. Oh, I told it expert. That's the other thing. You can get the different modes, right? Expert, fast. Grok 4.1. Everyone should be using Grok. Stop using Google. Stop using Gemini. Stop using ChatGPT. There's free versions of all of them, but there's only one that is built in curiosity and truth seeking. Here we go. The answer: 6.5 years. 6 years. So if it's growing at 11%, That means every 6 years, we can say 7 if you want, 6.5. We can round up. We'll say every 7 years, the cost of the things you want to buy, the doubles, the purchase power of your dollars gets cut in half. This is the rate that we're at now. Before 1971, totally different numbers. Okay, but this is an insane curve. Okay, and if we just continued the line off a little bit over here, what's going to happen to your what's going to happen to your $100,000 job if the monetary inflation rate is happening 11, 11, 11, 11? 6 times your $100,000 job is the equivalent of a $50,000 job. Do you think your income at your job level is going to double in the next 6 or 7 years? Yes or no? If it is not, if you don't have a shot at your income doubling, and this goes to all of your prospects, all of your leads, everybody you're talking to, is their income going to double in the next 7 years at their job rate? If not, the chance of them being impoverished is sky high. They need to hold assets. If you are holding currency, short the currency, long the asset. That's where we're at, guys. And so look around at your stuff. Look around at the way you've been working the last 5 years. Is what you're going to do, or what you've been working on, going to double your income in the next 7 years? You need to double. This isn't, hey guys, look at Shohei Ohtani's vision board. He put double his income. You could do it too. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you have an economic imperative to double your income in the next 7 years, or you are going to be poorer in 7 years than you are today. Our economy is expanding. It's incredible. The companies, the inventions, everything that they're making. It's going to be awesome. The future looks bright. However, if you're not doing the math, and this is what I was talking with Vanessa about last night, I swear the Federal Reserve is just hoping people don't do the math, right? The Federal Reserve understands this meme. This is where 99% of people are, and we gotta move. So instead of just move around, okay, ours is going to be just buy assets, just buy real estate, buy little bits of real estate all across America. You can get sophisticated with big deals, doesn't matter. Just buy real estate, or face the consequences. So I said that to motivate you guys. Watch your classes, take action. But I'm also saying it for conversational use when you're going out and marketing to people. We're not doing real estate necessarily because we love it, or it's very four walls and a roof is the thing we've thought about since kids. No, we're into real estate because it makes sense as a hedge against the robbery that's happening in the financial system. I don't want to tear down the financial system. I think that would cause complete terror and pain and suffering that we can't even imagine. I don't want it down with the dollar. I just want more people to understand the game that's being played against them. And most people won't do the math. CPI is not M2. And buy assets and you'll be fine. Watch your classes, show up every day, try hard. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Speaking of tough people, let's transition into Wealth Wednesday with our trainer for the day, Mr. Daine Clark, coming out of the Naquita Ranch in Idaho. He has been building a life by design. He got his start here at Renatus about a decade ago, showed up just like all of us did to a meeting, wondering, will it work, will it not? And got inspired. In his first year, did a fix and flip, started marketing within months because he realized real estate is a slow income, high income, slow income. And the marketing is a high income, fast income. He had a baby on the way, needed fast income, and started marketing, started putting butts in seats. A 90-day switch from when he first saw it. He was saying, no way, I'm not doing the recruiting. 90 days later, he's got a room full of guests and people are buying from him. And Renatus started sending him checks. And he started to realize, hey, I don't need my job anymore. Between the marketing, the real estate, he has now helped thousands of people have a profitable experience in real estate. He shows up every Wednesday to help us do the same. We're very grateful. and super proud of his accomplishments. So I'm going to turn the rest of the call over to the man with the plan, Mr. Daine Clark. GM.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wealth Wednesday to you. Let's get some. Ooh, that's really bright. Turn that down a little bit.
Right
Good
on.
morning. We
Yeah,
are
good
about
to see you.
7 minutes darker this week.
Yeah. Awesome. How are the pigs?
What's that?
How are your pigs?
Somebody ate them.
Somebody ate them? You sold them?
Yeah, we sold them. But
Awesome.
we're about to get 40 pregnant cows. So we're about to go from not quite a ranch to quite a ranch here in like a week.
Wow. Congratulations.
40 pregnant cows, baby. So we'll have 80 allegedly.
Yeah. I mean, there's rule of thumb, maybe 79.
There
You
you
might
go.
get twinners.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Keep that cow.
Yeah. So super fun.
So, yeah. And you're looking at it as assets, right? You're looking at it as, hey, I'm going to buy these things low, let them appreciate on the land, and then sell them after they appreciate. Or are you planning?
Honestly, I'm looking at it as hey, you bring your cows in and you deal with them. I'll provide the land.
Oh, gotcha. So zero operational on your side.
Yeah. I'm just
Nice.
just cashing checks is all. But
Guys, this is what I was talking about earlier. It's a non-operational mindset. It's just give me money.
yes.
Can you break that down? How you doing that a little bit? Kind of curious.
I mean, basically just renting pasture to people. So I own 42 acres, and I have a creek that goes from the top kitty corner of the property to the bottom kitty corner. So I own both sides of the creek, and which is really valuable in the wintertime because people that have just like watering troughs, they have to go like every day. They have to go break the ice and pull all the ice out, add new water in, and then do it again tomorrow because by tomorrow it'll freeze again. And so, super valuable that my creek never freezes over unless it's over the beaver dam. The beaver dam will freeze, but everywhere else along the creek will never freeze over. And so their cows can water all winter long, no problem. Um, and so yeah, so I can get high dollar, if you will, out of my grazing land just because of the water aspect. Very low labor for even the person that's renting from me. And so yeah, basically just renting cow food. Because there's a bunch of grass there that's gone dormant, but they'll eat it. They'll eat
Mhm.
they'll eat all the, it's almost like hay at this point, but just never got cut.
Right.
And so plenty of food for them to forage through. And even when it snows, like they'll just move the snow aside and they'll eat the grass underneath.
Interesting. So, when we're talking with Joel Salatin style about land development, one measurement is compaction, right? If you're moving that many animals around and then you start compacting your soil, then next year's rain won't get in and your grass will suffer.
Uh-oh.
So you got to make sure that they're moving the animals enough to not compact whatever paths. Just ask them more about their movement process. Um, and if you really want to get traditional, you go get a 3-foot square of land, dig it up, count how many earthworms are in it, then put it back, then wait a year, measure it again. More worms, property value went up. Less worms, property value went down. That's how they used to do.
Interesting.
Yeah, because that was the sign of soil health. And your soil health is your crop health, which is your food, your body, the whole thing. So anyway,
Crazy.
yeah, we're getting a little off topic here, but
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like roughly 1 cow per acre, give or take, which is a pretty decent ratio.
true. But if all 40 are hanging out on the same 2 acres
Yeah, that's
all
true.
winter,
Because
so
they are herd animals.
right, yeah. So just do a little poking around. It's then the turd droppings. You're gonna have to have a chicken tractor afterwards to
Hmm.
turds into.
I just built a sick, nasty one that can pick up with a forklift and house, I think 50 chickens.
Oh,
If I
okay.
remember right.
Nice.
Auto solar panel door open shut. Um, they lay the eggs and they will roll down, and so they don't poop on the eggs.
Nice. Yeah, I just got a new one that holds 80 chickens. And
Nice.
I don't have the fancy solar door, but yeah, we're gonna be raising a lot of chickens next year.
And I can pick it up with a forklift and move it around. I made it out of steel, so it's like she's gonna last longer than I live.
Yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of making things last, real estate deals, portfolios, not fixed flips, but the portfolio itself. How's it going? And give
Good.
people a framework for what you went from with doing a deal to having a portfolio and making that jump.
Yeah. So as you were talking actually about the whole, people's jobs will be half as efficient, or yeah, they'll buy half as much as they'll buy today if, especially if the job stays the same. I mean, that was my mindset when I first joined Renatus was how do I just keep up with a growing family? And I wasn't really thinking inflation, but at the time, I wanted to be increasing my income forever. And that was just always like, how do I give myself a raise even if my job doesn't? Even if all I did was do it once a year. So that was where my mindset came from. Like I really thought that I thought it through, which I guess I could argue that I did. I thought it through pretty heavily to set the goal when I first joined Renatus and I handed him my credit cards and said, run it for I want the combo. Um, that was that was well thought out with my current knowledge base at the time, of course. Um, that that it would work. If I just did one house every single year, I would give myself one raise every single year in multiple facets, cash flow and appreciation, deductions, all that stuff. And so honestly, like if if people are just starting out, like at least start there, I would say. Just have a goal of just do one house every single year. And I don't care how you do it. If you do seller financing, if you do a fix and flip, if you do a wholesale, if you do a, a rental, if you do a short-term rental, whatever. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But just have that mindset of one a year. And you'll actually be really shocked. Once you do one, in fact, who was I just talking to? They're a really new uh, student. Oh my gosh, the Wrights. I wonder if they're even on here. Um, no, I don't see them. But it was funny because they just got started. They were doing a 90-day challenge to get into that first deal. They got that deal, and then just asking me all these questions. They're like, Dane, like how do you raise money? I remember asking these questions too. Like, how do you actually raise money? Like, yeah, I watched the class. I watched the class and I get that, but how do you actually raise money? And and I asked the same question. Um, and like how do you actually like who are these people that give you money? Because they're like, yeah, I want to do like 2 deals now.
Of
Um,
course.
and and it was funny because I was like, just wait, like just do one deal and just wait and watch what happens. Especially if you take the advice that you're having a conversation a day and you're just talking to people about anything real estate that you're in right now. Because honestly, if you bring one real estate conversation up, it will be almost inevitable that you'll talk about what you're doing now. If all you're doing is making offers, you'll talk about that. And it was so crazy in my own story. Um, the difference with my conversations when I was only watching classes to the difference when I was watching classes and making offers on properties, night and day type of conversations. And I noticed the difference in people's reactions. People could tell the difference of Daine just watching classes and Daine making offers. because I could, in my conversations, I could start telling stories like, yeah, I was just meeting with this person about their house and going through the, and here's how that went. And people were just like, all of a sudden it was like real. And so back to that, hey, just have a conversation a day about real estate, and inevitably you will bring up what you are currently doing in those conversations. And so I tell that to this new student. They're doing their first deal, they're having a conversation a day, and he calls me up the next time. He's like, Daine, people are like coming out of the woodwork and being like, I want to get in on your next deal. I got this much money. And he's just like, Daine, you didn't tell me this would happen. I was like, well, I kind of did. but regardless, it's here. And he's just blown away that all of a sudden people are rallying around him. And he's like, yeah, like we're going to do our second, third, fourth, like we're going to do a lot more deals just because I've been having that conversation a day. And so keep that mindset. If you're just getting started, like just have that mindset, like one a year. I got to get one a year. And mark my words, when you do one, you'll be like, this was really this simple. Like you'll be laughing at yourself. And you're like, are you serious? Like this is all it was? And then you'll do two, and then you'll do three, and but focus on the one. Get that one a year. Have those conversations. Actually go make offers to people, because your conversations will be so much different because you actually did something versus I just been watching classes. Like people will hear the difference. So if any of you that haven't made an offer like in the month of November, like hurry up, go make an offer. November is almost over. It doesn't matter if the deal doesn't close. In fact, if I show you my record, I've now analyzed like, I don't know, 1,000 deals. Let's see. I have record of analyzing 864 deals analyzed. That's just what I have record of. Obviously, I didn't start recording all of the deals that I've analyzed when I first got going. But yeah, so probably approaching 1,000 deals analyzed and made offers on as well. And so yeah, 800 plus offers. It makes a difference when you strike up those conversations and you just made an offer and you can tell that story. Even if it failed, who cares? But yeah, I just made an offer that it could close later this month, but it could also not close later this month. I don't know. I made the offer. They're going to accept it or not. And like they're basically going to tell me if I'm going to make another offer here this week or next week or whatever. Because if they say yes, then yeah, we're going to hone in. We're going to do that one. So have those conversations and actually take some action. And it's so crazy because there's another couple, just a couple quick stories here. There's another couple that's like, yeah, Daine, I've never done this. I've never done this. I've never done. And then they make this offer, and the deals, and I look at the deal, and it's like it's so, because they were going to borrow some money from me, and so I look at every deal that I'm going to lend on as if I was doing it myself, and I'm like, yeah, the deal's like so, and so I just kind of knew that the deal wouldn't go through. I kind of knew that it would fall apart. It had the signs, but I wasn't going to tell them that. And here's why. Because in their mind, here they are in this first time, they make the offer gets accepted, they're doing their due diligence, and they are forcing themselves to go and have more conversations because they're like, crap, I got to raise money. And they're just like, so now all of a sudden they're talking about what they're doing. They're under contract on a deal looking for money. And so their conversations revolve around that kind of language of that, that topics or those topics. And then the deal falls through and they're like, oh, dang it. But they're like, I just got like 3 people that I didn't know otherwise want to put money in real estate deals. And so, oh, good stuff. One a year. Just try to go for one a year. All right. couple of questions I'm seeing. Lara says, do you try to sign up in Renatus everyone you talk to about real estate? I tend to want to do that, and I think I need to know when to stop and just accept that this person just wants to invest or lend with me, but I can't help but feel like the deals that we make together will go better if they had education. Do you ever feel like that? How did you overcome that? So, honestly, I overcame that on accident because of my very first story, raising money, which some of you guys have heard this, but I'm guessing some of you haven't. But the very first time I raised money, I was trying to get somebody down to a Thursday night meeting. They were an hour and 15 minutes away from where we were hosting our Thursday night meeting. And they were just like, and he was an older fella. His kids are grown and gone. They were empty nesters and they've got grandkids. And I'm just like, yeah, come to the Thursday night meeting. He's like, Dan, I don't want to come to your meeting. But if you want to talk real estate, I'm very interested. Come to my house. And I thought that meant, yeah, come sell me your thing at my house. I knew this was like my first sale. My first, I still hadn't made a single Renatus sale, and I hadn't done any real estate deals. And so there I was having that conversation with him. And he's like, yeah, come to my house. And so me, newbie, greenie, whatever, tries to get my 5-star to come with me to this guy's house that's an hour and 15 minutes away from where we were. And my 5-star's like, oh, does he know the name Renatus? And I was like, no. And he's like, does he know that you have something for sale? And I was like, technically, no. And he hasn't seen anything. We just both talking and found out that we both like real estate. He wants to talk more about real estate. And he invited me to his house. And so my 5-star's like, yeah, I'm not going. Like that, we have, the odds are low that person's going to be interested. And so I was like, okay. And well, I just committed to the appointment and I got to go up there like on Wednesday or Friday or whatever. And so I go up there by myself. And the only thing I could think to say was to show what I was doing. I'm learning these things. I'm looking at these deals. Here's an offer that I've made even. Like I brought the analyzation of an offer that I had made. Because again, talk about what you're doing. I didn't even know if the deal was going to close or not, but I was just talking about what I was doing. An offer that I made, and I had some quick analysis of numbers in front of me. And so there I was sitting across the dining room table of him and his wife. And I think he could smell that I was newer. Sure, he's like, yeah, Dane's taking action, obviously, because I've got stories and nobody can argue with stories. I got stories of offers being made and actual numbers in front of me. And I think he could smell I was new, but he says this at the end. He's like, all right, Daine, I love this. And he says, if you find deals, if like even if the one that you show me goes under contract, if you find deals like what you're showing me that you're looking for, call me. I have money. I would like to put money into real estate because he's a super busy business owner fella, doesn't have the time to do what I'm doing. And I think he saw that, hey, we would make a great team. And so that was like I raised money on accident almost because I was having those conversations. I was trying to get him to a Thursday night meeting down to Renatus community. But at the end of the day, he's just like, nah, just call me when you have deals and I got money. And I'm just like, I didn't know what to say. I remember walking out to my car at the time, my old high gas economy, just like my little car, college, what I used to call that my college person car. And almost like being in fear because I was like, crap, now I have to do this. Because I just committed to somebody that, yeah, I'm going to bring a deal and I'm going to call you for money. And so I almost overcame that by accident because he basically shut me down saying, no, Daine, I don't want to come to your meeting, but I do want to talk real estate. And he's like, I don't want to learn anything. No, I just want to write checks and that's it. And so learned that by accident. Now, I will say that fast forward to today, like through all of that, I've developed the 4 boxes, if you will. So if you haven't heard this, 4 boxes are: all humans within the boundaries of this country will fall into one of 4 boxes. They either want to be super passive, they like real estate, they want to be super passive. All they want to do is be presented deals, twiddle their thumbs until you present the deal. They don't want to talk to you. They like literally, they just want to be that friend that you only call them for money. Passive investors. They don't want education. They just want to write checks. Then you have the people that also like real estate, but they're like the car. Let me say everybody on this call that are like, yeah, I want to talk real estate. Like, yeah, like I love talking real estate. In fact, I've always wanted to get it, whatever. They are excited about real estate, but they're like, I've got time. Whether they have money or not doesn't matter. I started with 0 money, but I was like, yeah, I want to get involved. I want to get my hands dirty. I want to spend time, boots on the ground, and get actively involved. So box number 2, they like real estate like you do, but they want to be actively involved like you are. Third person is like, I can't really think about learning about real estate right now because I got problems. Like, and they're such big problems that it's like taking over my life. I'm losing sleep over these real estate problems, and I need to solve them. And that's where you come in and use your education to solve their problem. You know, one of my first stories was same thing. I was calling somebody, trying to get them down to a Thursday night meeting, talking about real estate. And he's like, "Oh, you should buy my property." And after watching Jeff Armstrong's class, listen to the guy's problem, was like, you know what, dude? I'm just gonna help you keep the property, and I'll basically be your bank. And so accidentally did that deal. And I called the first guy and said, hey, I got one. And so used that guy's money, solved the other guy's problem, because he's in box number 3. He's got a property with an underlying problem and he needs to solve it. And I was the one that came in, knight in shining armor, whatever, solved his problem. Obviously, that person doesn't need education. That person needs you to buy their house. Now, yeah, maybe you solve their problem, relieve their stress, and then say, hey, you want to do this again, but the right way, or the more efficient way, or a more efficient way? Then come and see what we're doing. Sure. And I've had some of those people that their problem gets solved, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, I'm listening. You know, you just relieved all the stress of my life about this property that had an underlying problem. And they're like, tell me more. And yeah, afterwards, those people will come down. And then last but not least is people that are just like, I got stories. I got horror stories about real estate. I don't want to touch it. My friends or family or colleagues or associates have horror stories that they've told me about real estate. I don't want to touch it. But there's always a story. The people that are like, real estate is taboo, I don't want to talk about it, that last box, there's always a story. And I love to hear the story, because sometimes they're like, yeah, my story's dumb. Actually, yeah, I want to be actively involved, or I want to be passively involved, whatever. But yeah, so to answer Laura's question, I learned, like, I didn't develop, if you will, the box system, basically to put people into boxes and serve them accordingly, until years later. But I basically accidentally, like I just shared, I accidentally found passive investors. I accidentally found active people that wanted to get involved. And I accidentally found deals for people that had problems that we were able to solve. I was basically using the passive people's money to solve the active people's, or sorry, to solve the property problem people's deals. And just as soon as I understood what their goals were, as soon as I understood what they wanted, or what they did or didn't want, I acted accordingly. And so the more you get to know that person, the more you'll be like, I see what you want. You just want to be passively involved. You want to sit back and twiddle your thumbs and have deals presented to you. Am I right? You know, and I legit asked that very question. Like, oh, sounds to me like you just want to sit back and twiddle your thumbs and have deals presented to you. Am I right? And they're like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Cool. we will have that conversation. And I sit down and I raise money from that person. And they don't need to know about Renatus. They just think I'm freaking smart. And sometimes they're like, where did you learn this? I'm like, I went to school for it. Yeah, Renatus is a school. And so yeah, so truthfully, I overcame that on accident by just having conversations and paying attention to what people wanted and how I could help them. But today, I will purposefully ask those types of questions where, all right, which box are you in? Every time I meet a human, I'm like, okay, which real estate box are you in? Passively involved, actively involved, got a problem we need to solve, or is it like taboo and you got stories? And you got stories as to why you think that way. Your stories or someone else's, doesn't matter. Stories nonetheless. And based on what they are, we have that conversation. Like if they tell me, oh, I got this property, then I say, cool, let's hone in and have the conversation about this property. Let's learn everything about it. And I love asking the question, like, in a perfect world, how do you want this to go? And I learn a lot from that question and ask follow-up questions and so on and so forth. And then just do my best to help them. So like last night I had a realtor call me and he's like, Daine, I've got a house that's in a really tough area to sell. I've got somebody that might want to do seller financing. And if I give them my rate, they'll give me my price. And he's like, how do I do this? And so again, he's got a property with a problem. He is a realtor, but he's also selling the house. So he's the realtor seller. And so he's got this property with a problem. And we were able to come up with a solution that he gets paid in 2 stages. He gives the buyer what they want. You know, they give him his price. He gives the buyer what they want, basically his exact mortgage rate, which is like 2.75% interest. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to give them 2.75% interest because they are going to give me my price. And we'll do a balloon in 5 years. And so I'll get paid my second paycheck, if you will, in 5 years. And how do I do that? And so we just, again, that's what the extent of our conversation was, is property with that underlying problem that he wants to give it to a client with those parameters. And we were able to come up with in my opinion, the perfect scenario that hits all the buckets and protects him very well. And so that's what our whole conversation was about. Now I've known this realtor for many years, and all of our conversations were in that box. And he finally was just like, Daine, how do you know all this? And I said, oh, come check out Renatus. And he bought his combo. So he's a combo holder. And anyway, but value first. Anyway, Daine, how do we reach you if we have a motivated seller that may meet your parameters? You can reach out to me on Facebook Market, or you can send me an email. Those are the best ways. And if we need to schedule a call, we can. I am only in Utah, and so I'm not sure if that's already known, but just saying. And I should say like the southeasternmost part of Idaho, but because they actually surprisingly they actually use all the same like the realtor websites and that kind of stuff for like the southeast chunk of Idaho. But yeah, happy to help however I can. But yeah, so Laura, I hope that answers your question. Have conversations with people, find out how you can best help them. Are they passive, active, property with a problem, or they got horror stories that they need to get off their chest, and you to tell them that it's okay, that everything's going to be fine. Real estate is not as scary as you think, especially if you're an educated investor. And you can tell stories of the alternative, of like, oh yeah, I know people that did something similar, but they chose to get educated first, and here's how it went for them. And they'll be like, oh my goodness. Anyway, And then I enroll them in the program. Exactly. Love it. So cool. But yeah, portfolio wise, it was funny because we were having that conversation last week, and I had like literally later that day, I had somebody call me, and what was the story? I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I got to share this with everybody because it was on topic with what we were talking about yesterday. But yeah, I think it was a realtor. Let's see. Yeah, I think it was a realtor. So they call me up and they're like, hey, in fact, yeah, it was really similar to because I had two stories like this last week. They're like, hey, I've got this listing. I've got somebody, excuse me, I've got somebody that wants seller financing. They've got 20% down, or no, they have 100 and it was like 150,000 down, which would have been more than 20%. And so we were able to sit back and say, oh no, how about we do only 20%? They keep the rest of that money, and then they can utilize that for something else. Like maybe they want to get into investing and they want to buy themselves a combo, whatever. But anyway, like let's keep more money in their pocket and get them the house. Because like I said, realtor was selling the house. Somebody came and said, hey, will you guys take seller financing? And their seller was like, nah, we don't know what that is. Which again, all the more reason I feel like that realtors, like every realtor, in my opinion, would make twice as much money if they just took the time to buy Renatus, get educated on all these things that they don't teach you in realtor school, because then they could educate their seller and be like, hey, seller, let me show you something really cool. How you don't have to be a landlord and you can make all this extra money on the same house. You're still going to get a down payment, but you're going to get monthly payments, and you're not a landlord. Like you don't have to do any of that stuff if you don't want to. And basically turn them into the super passive investors in real estate by just being their realtor and getting multiple commissions as a realtor in that transaction, just to help those clients become passive investors, sell their house on seller financing, get a chunk of money like they want when they, that's the reason they're selling anyway. They want to get a chunk of money, and monthly cash flow. Oh man, realtors would be so much more well paid if they are Renatus education holders, like night and day. If I was a realtor, oh my goodness, I would share with my clients how you can double, triple, fourple dip in real estate as only passive investors only. Like, don't go buy rental properties. Oh, dude. But no, I don't want to be a realtor. I would rather just hang out on my not quite a ranch. Actually, it's about to be quite a ranch. And hang out with my 5 kids and homeschool them and teach them how to build a fence and whatever. And sit back and be the passive investor in real estate. Anyway, but yeah, so helping that realtor solve the problem with that client that is selling the house. They don't want to offer seller financing. I was like, hey, I'll buy it. I will come in, buy the house cash. So your clients take their, whatever, your clients take their money and go. And then I will seller finance it to this person that says that they have more than 20% down. But if they want to keep more money in their pocket, let's let them. And anyway, so super excited to see how that one turns out. We'll find out here soon. But yeah. Any more questions that I can answer for you guys? Anybody have stories that you need to help work through so we can help you with your after story? I mean, I can sit here and tell stories all the time if I want. If you guys want.
I have a very quick request.
Good.
Can you send me the breakdown that you created last week?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. So I'm in motion with I found a guy who wants the property from the numbers we ran through. So right now I'm just essentially getting my ducks in a row before we pull the trigger and have him move forward.
Now, I don't think that we had any addresses to that. Yeah, we didn't have, all we did was run numbers. So do you care if I share it publicly?
No, not at all.
Cool. So it's not, yeah, it doesn't give away any personal information. It's just numbers.
Yeah. That's
But
fine.
yeah, anyone that wants to review that, more than welcome to. And that's really how I think that day will go. Based on the numbers we went through last week. If you missed that, go review the recording, and then there's the link to what we built. And so you can study all the different parameters of what we did. And if I remember right, I don't think I even sweetened the deal as good as I could have. Let's find, oh yeah, I did. I accounted for receiving payments basically from day one. And it looks like I accounted for raising money.
I do have two quick questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is, did you personalize that deal app to make it work for what you're looking for, like to make it fit, or is it just how it comes the way you have it?
When you say personalize, yes and no. So there's only so much that I can personalize because you'll see that I'm using a Burr method calculator. And really all the Burr allows is that you have a purchase, you have a rehab, which I've just left at 0 because to do my signature deal, I don't need a contractor. And it allows me to finance the purchase, and then it allows me to put in a ARV and then base a refinance on an ARV and say, okay, yeah, we're going to do 75% of the ARV, which in the numbers that we ran last week are 150,000. And then it allows me to say that we're cash flowing or receiving, let's call it receiving monthly revenue. And I just put it under rent. And this is my PITI. And so customize, yeah, you could argue that, in fact, if I go like this, where is it? In here, if I go to settings and then down here on the left side, you can see rental templates, Burr templates, and flip templates. So I actually have a Burr template that just shows my very cookie cutter numbers on a deal. So 20% down, includes all my purchase costs. Again, pretty close to what the numbers are. I've got some ratios in there. And so this is customized, of course. Holding period. Oh yeah, I could actually change that to 3 months as my template. Let's see. I know there's 2 places that I have to put that, but anyway, so yeah, so I can, in fact, here, I'm going to do that right now. Typically, I've never gone 3 months on my refinance because, like I say, I don't have to do any contracting work. It's just buy it, refinance it, start the refinance immediately. So most of them only go 45 days, but to be a little bit conservative, I'm going to say 3 months there. And then I've got the template that says, oh, we're refinancing at 75%. I've got 7.5% interest, which right now, actually, they've gone down. And so I can change my template to say, let's just say 6.75. It is just a little bit less than that, but I like to pad it and what do they call that? Under promise, over deliver. And yeah, 30-year note. And then in here, I've got just inside of the template, I've already got the taxes and insurance, but they're just zeroed out because I'm going to have to fill those in. And then loan service fee of $30 is just in that template. So customization to a point, I've got basically all the templates to help me run the numbers, but I wasn't able to change all these fields, for example. And so the more I looked at it, the more I was like, hey, I'm going to pull from a Burr method calculator because everything will fit. And I just have to, I just know that, oh, I'm not renting the house. The PITI is the rent. And then the other income, let's see right here. Yeah, rental income And the other income is the taxes, insurance, and loan service. And so I fill those in. And so it looks like I am making that income, but also on the flip side, I have my operating expenses and I have them the same. In fact, it looks like I prorated just to like try and estimate or get me close until I know for sure. So this gets me within, hundreds of dollars of what the actual insurance and what the actual property taxes are going to be with the loan service. And then I even in my template, I have before refinance payments. For example, like we ran in Tamara's scenario last week, we showed like, oh yeah, like she's going to get like, let's say it takes her 3 months to refinance. She's going to receive 3 payments before she refinances. And so I have that built into the template. And then partner share means that if I bring in a partner to reimburse all the money that I'm out of pocket, how much is that costing me? Because this is under the itemized operating expenses. So there was just a place for everything that is included in my signature kind of a deal like this. And then you'll notice down here that I don't get appreciation. And so a Burr method calculator, if in long-term projections, basically a Burr method calculator is going to give you appreciation. I actually negative 1.5% depreciated, if you will. And again, it's not like exact math. It just gets me close. I'm within, maybe a few $1,000s, not tens of thousands, but of a spread, but I'm within a few $1,000s within the first several years to just do a 1.5% depreciating. And then I just leave income and expense increases the same. I mean, technically they will change over the taxes and insurance, but that doesn't change my bottom line. If my taxes go up, their taxes go up the same month. If my insurance goes up, their insurance goes up the same month. And so that's just a wash. And so I just leave that. And then selling costs. I used to get super detailed on this and go in and say, okay, selling costs are, their down payment, tried to kind of pre-amortize it but yeah, I don't really look at these anymore on the long-term projections for these deals. I just know that if it works going in, it's set in stone. I'm going to cash flow that until the house sells. And as long as I'm hitting a 30% cash on cash, that's my personal, and I know, sorry, I know I've refrained from sharing with you guys my numbers because I don't want them to affect you. If you want more or less, there's no wrong answer there. But I have my bottom line to say, hey, if I can make this much cash on cash return based on this calculator, good deal. Let's do it. Because that gives me enough to go bring in a partner and say, hey, as long as I do deals like this, whether I keep them myself or I sell them off, I always, 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 always have an avenue to sell off a piece of the pie. And so that's why I do it that way. Yeah, so customization to a point, but I'm still technically using a Burr method calculator, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'll have to again revisit this YouTube until you get a class recorded. But so my other question is, I am like, for me to move a little bit quicker on this deal, just because I already have things going on, it would be to get a partner in. So I'm wondering, I know you used to do partners and you don't really do partners anymore.
You're saying like a credit partner?
Yeah. Like, and I think if I remember correctly, it was like cash needed was like $25,000. So can you just real quick,
Let's see.
like,
Yeah, let's look back at that. So
26,715.
So let's look at the partner. Okay, so passive lending partner contribution. Because if I remove that, I'm going to copy it so we can put it back. Oops. So if I remove that, then it goes back to this deal based on these numbers, based on the purchase price, based on the down payment, based on estimating refinance cost, all that stuff. It would show that somebody, and I should even say that to get the deal settled, you would need that money if you're going to refinance it in your name. Now, if you're going to bring in a credit partner, then they just have to have at least the 45,000 plus when borrowing, you also have to have, I can't remember what the banks call it, but basically reserves. Banks call it reserves. Basically take the deal payment. So in this case, $998 plus operating expenses of, here, let's get rid of this. Let's see, go back. So 998 plus 222. I'm not a head math person. We're like $1,200. Let's just call it $1,200. So $1,200 in expenses. And so the bank is going to say, okay, your payment, PITI, principal, interest, tax, insurance, is $1,200. And so you need to have 6 months of $1,200. So you take 1,200 times 6, that's $7,200. So in other words, to do this deal, you need the 45,000 plus the 6 months, which is 7,200. So trying to head math this, 45 plus 7, 53. It's like 54 because $700. So yeah, really close. So you need about, 52. Sorry. Yeah, 52 plus roughly 1,000. Let's call it 53. So to do this deal, whoever is doing the loan in their name, needs $53,000 minimum to do the deal. $7,200 for reserves, $45,000 to do the deal itself. However, let's say that this person has a mortgage in their name, and this loan, the $150,000 loan that they're getting, is Fannie Freddie. They're actually going to say, okay, you need $45,000 for this deal to do the deal. You need $7,200 in reserves, basically 6 months of payments. Plus, if you have your personal residence with a mortgage on it, you need 6 months of that mortgage. So let's say that their mortgage is $2,000 a month. Then you need 2 times 6, 12,000. So you need $12,000 reserves for your house. You need $7,000 reserves for this house. And you need $45,000 just to do the deal. So anybody really good at head math? 53 plus 12, 65. So basically to do the whole deal, you need $65,000 of seasoned income. I think we talked about that last week. Seasoned income to do the deal. You don't have to have it, somebody does. Whoever is going to do the loan needs to have, again, in our scenario that we just built out, they have a personal residence, they have this house going on their credit, so they need reserves for the personal residence, they need reserves for this house, and they need the total cash invested, this dollar amount here. So in that scenario, $65,000 in the bank account. And so here we go. Is there a formula how much interest is charged? Okay, yeah. I just do 2% above. I think Michael talked about that. So let's see, is there a formula for how much interest is charged? So yeah, so if I buy in this case, if I buy the house for 200,000, I sell it for 220. I add 10% because I'm going to pay all the fees and all that kind of stuff. And so I just tell people, hey, I'm just going to add 10%. That way we know exactly what it is, not a penny more. I really only make like 2 to 3% of that on the back end. So it's really not my moneymaker. Whatever interest rate I get. So for example, in our example, in this example, let's say I was getting 7% interest, I would charge them 9%. And so that's where I'm making my money, is the spread on my interest to theirs. Yeah. But they're ready to change for seller finance.
You charge the 9% for their interest? Is that what you said?
Correct. In my signature deals, I do a 2% spread. So in my signature deal, I add 10% to the purchase price. They bring 20% down payment. I bring 5% on top of that So basically I do a 75% LTV and I charge 2% above my interest rate. And
Hold
that
on.
formula right there,
10% down, 20%, 10% spread, 20% down, and you bring 5%.
yeah. And I charge 2% above my interest rate. So the monthly interest. And that formula right there,
Got it.
like 9.5 times out of 10 produces a 30% cash on cash return.
Wow.
If I do this, let's click this button. Let's see. So this is somebody else's. So let's just do like a $450,000 purchase. Let's do 20% down payment. This is not as detailed as the deal check. This just gets me like quick, really quick and easy. Okay, this looks like it's a deal. And so let's say I'm getting 6.75% interest. So 450,000, 20% down. I'm going to add 10%, so 495. They're putting 20% of the 450, so they're putting 90. I get 6.75% interest. I charge them 8.75. See, 0% PMI, principal, interest, tax, insurance. I think I probably wouldn't quite pay this much in fees and whatnot, but still, that equation, purchase price, I add 10%, they put 20% down. I put 5% down because I'm doing so they put 20% down, I put 25% down, which I use their 20% towards mine. So they put 20% down, I put 25% down. So I'm putting an extra 5, basically. Plus I'm going to pay all the fees. And cash. And so I would be out of pocket $43,000 on this. Like, this is just like my cookie cutter. I've done more deals like this than any other deal. Cookie cutter, can do several of them. So I'd be 43,000 out of pocket, $997 in cash flow, which puts me at a 27.7% cash on cash return. So I'm like 2.2% off of 30. Now, if my fees, these are pretty hefty. I mean, yeah, lender's title policy. Yeah, technically this would be like, in this case, like $700. So let's do 0.2. I overestimate everything on purpose. But yeah, so there we go. So just changing that title policy, that would be a little more accurate. It'd be even cheaper than that. Now I'm at 28.9%. But yes, and I actually prefer to keep it that way. Under promise, over deliver, even for myself. So yeah, so that formula, 20% down payment from the buyer, 10%, I call it shared appreciation, or let's see, I've called it two things: after shared appreciation or fee reimbursement, because that's really what it is. Like, I'm not making that money per se. I'm paying all the fees. In fact, here, this shows me I'm paying at least $20,000 in fees to do this whole deal. And so, plus tax, that's upfront fees too. That's not including like the taxes that I'll pay over time to the IRS. But yeah, so yeah, sorry. Purchase price, they put 20% down. I add 10% to the price. I add 2% to the rate. And I do an extra 5 just to buy down the interest rate a little bit better. Because I like high equity deals, because let's say that this person doesn't pay and I now have to sell the house. I want every chance to be able to sell this house outright and at least recoup my money, bare minimum. And this seems like the ticket. The worst case scenario, if everything went south, and the house was in poor condition, I could sell it, recoup my money, move on to the next deal. I obviously will try and sell or finance the house again, to a new buyer and all that jazz. But let's say it doesn't happen. I want to account for, all right, we're okay if we have to sell the house and just barely recoup the money, go find a better deal, go find a bigger and better deal. Produces really close to a 30% cash on cash return, which gives me the ability to say, okay, if I've got a $43,000 out of pocket, I can go get a partner, pay them 10% on that 43,000, get reimbursed the 43,000. So yeah, I was out of pocket 43, but now I got it back. And I share with that person a 10% APR. So they're getting $340 a month. So I'm getting $600 a month. They're getting $350, $360 a month. And I'm in this $0 out of my pocket. Or if I don't bring in that partner, which nowadays I just fund the $43,000 myself, I keep all $900 and I'm producing a almost 30%. I mean, this one, because like I said, I run my numbers pretty conservatively. This would probably, and this doesn't account for them making a monthly payment from day one either. So yeah, I mean, I would clear 30% all day. I'd probably even clear 35, 40% on this exact deal. But like I say, I just try to hit those bare numbers around that, really close to that 30%. Now, I also pad this just a little bit and say, okay, 2% above, there's a chance that I can spend like an extra $1,000 to $1,200 and get like a probably like 6.25% interest rate. But if I buy that down myself, I'm going to keep that benefit, right? I'm just going off of what's called par. So whatever my interest rate is, 6.75% par, I add 2% to that. But if I buy the rate down, I'm going to keep that benefit because I spent extra money to do that. And so let's say I do and I get a 6.625, then yeah, now I'm at 28.5%. Or let's even say I buy it down and try to get like a 6.5, then I'm at 29% cash on cash return. Like I said, minus the payments and it would be better. I always run them conservative. It's always better than what this quick and dirty sheet shows. Always better. But yeah, and so this is my cookie cutter deal. All I want for Christmas is day. Love it. But yeah, that's like my recipe, if you will. 10% above purchase, 20% down, 2% above par interest rate. And if I get creative and do other things, so let's go back to 6.75. If I buy the rate down, I get the benefit.
And when
If
you say you buy the rate down, that's the 5% you bring, right?
Not necessarily. So I still bring the 5%, but let's say I bring an extra $1,200. In fact, here, I bet you I could show you exactly what I'm talking about. Julie Gleed is my loan officer. Let's see. She would have sent me, whoops. Julie Gleed. Oh, darn it. I updated my computer and now I can't find like old emails and I do not know why. No, that's not it. Here, let's see if she texted it to me. Maybe she did. Julie Gleed. I was gonna say, usually she emails these to me. So she sends me like it's almost like a spreadsheet. And let's see if her daughter also sent it to me. Darn it. Here, let me see if I search her daughter. Ashley Gleed. Yeah, darn it. I know. Here, maybe I like I'd be able to find it. So for some reason I can search it on my phone, but I can't search it on my computer. All my old emails. All right, I'll just like email it to myself. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Julie Lead. Right. Okay, so if I go like, or I'll just text it to myself. Text to Daine Clark. Text. All right. And then let's share this screen. So she sends me this and then I make a decision. Let's see. Where's my text messages? Messages. Oh wait, I think to make it bigger, let's go like this. Sorry guys, bear with me. Open and then share. Right there. There we go. Now you guys should be able to see this if I make it a little bigger. It's not that much bigger. So she sends me this screenshot that says, okay, and this would have been, let's see, when was this? This would have been like a month ago or so. Oh, this was back in July. So back in July, when I was price shopping, I can't remember what the deal was, but she said, okay, if you bring $5,000, the rate is 6.875. And this is just like pure buy down, rate buy down, basically. Or if you bring $1,900, then you buy it down to 7, or the bank will pay me $1,274 and I can get a 7.125% rate, or the bank will pay me $4,500 and my rate is 7.25. And so I can pick and choose and say, okay, based on par, which is basically one of these two numbers here, basically the ones that are closest to zero. So par in this, so this day on July 10th this year, par was 7.125. And so I would basically receive $1,200, or I can say, okay, instead of giving me $1,200, I will give you $1,900 and we'll do a 7% interest rate. And so it's always like the rates and fees like this are always different. And so I'll actually look at this sheet that she sends me or this little screenshot and pick and choose and say, okay, you know what? In this case, for me to bring $2,000 only changes my interest by 0.125%. And so in this case, I would have chosen this one here. You guys can see this, right? You guys can see me like moving this around. Okay, yeah. I would have chosen 7.125. because the jump was teeny tiny. And so like on the one that we're closing this week, she'll send me this same sheet and I'll say, I'll either say, okay, yeah, just go for par, or I'll be like, yeah, I'll bring $2,000 because it's going to drop my rate by like 2/8, a quarter. Maybe I'll drop 0.25%, and I'll run my numbers accordingly that way. And so if I choose to do the buy, like I base my 2% on par, which would be this one right here. So in this case, I would charge my buyer 7, 8, 9. I would charge my buyer 9.125%.
9.12, got it.
And if I put the $2,000 towards closing, I would keep my buyer at the 7 or the 9.125, and I would get 7 because I bought it down extra. Now I have had my buyer come back and say like, hey, is there anything I can do with the rate? And I'd say, hey, if you want to spend the $2,000 or $5,000 in this case to get the rate down, right? And so you see the jump here, to go from 7 to 6.875. So basically dropping 1/8%. That's $3,000. That's more than $3,000, like $3,300 just to go from there to there. So I wouldn't do it personally. But I've offered to my buyer to say, oh yeah, if you want to slightly lower the rate, how about you bring an extra $1,976 and I'll drop your payment from 9.125 down to 9 even. And sometimes I've offered that only if they ask. But sometimes I've offered that to my buyer instead of just potentially doing it for myself, if that makes any sense at all. But essentially translates to, let's see, go back to here, translates to here where I can say, oh, instead of 9.125 and I'm getting 8.75, right? In fact, what's wrong here? Oh, sorry. I was getting 7.125%. Right? So you can see, like, it didn't really change much. I'm still like, let's see, it was like 27.7. Now we're 28.3, 28.4. So it didn't change much on my cash on cash to just go up from 7.125 to 9.125. But let's pretend that this was on July 10th, and that's what rates were on that day, because they change every day. Rates change literally sometimes they change multiple times a day. And so it's just whatever you have that at that moment. And so let's say I did that $2,000 buy down, I get 7%. I'm extra $2,000 here, so I'm 45, but dropping this down to jumping this up to 29%, if you will. And so, yeah, I hope this is making sense. Clear as mud.
Yeah.
But yeah, I take that benefit if I buy it down myself and I keep theirs at the 9.125. But like I said, today I can get probably about 6.625 par, or somewhere in that range, 6.65 to 6.75. And so I'll charge them 8.75. If that makes sense, because I might do the buy down. Last time I looked at it, it was cheap. And so we'll find out. I can't lock my rate until I buy the house, because refinances, you have to own it. And I like to do the refinances. And so let's say I buy it. I think title might be ready either today or tomorrow. So I'll buy it today or tomorrow. I'll lock my rate. I'll look at those numbers to see, okay, do I want to go just par, or do I want to buy it down a little bit? So, but yeah, great questions. Oh my gosh, it's 9:50. All right, we got to wrap it up. I promised a couple people that I'd call.
Awesome.
Yeah, I hope this helps. Sorry, I have not been checking.
Absolutely. The detailed format, folks. So you can see how it's working and the reasons behind why he set it up this way. It's, and this one thing I love about Daine is he's always considering his buyer's perspective, how they're going to talk about their experience to their friends. And so when you factor in, like we do in the self-confidence formula, everyone involved in the transaction benefits or don't do it. And Daine's a great example of that. So thank you again, sir.
Yeah. And really
Always
quick, Irina says, is that 75% of current value or ARV? More often than not, my signature deal, I am buying the house retail. Like, I buy it exactly for what it appraises for, like to the penny, no discounts. And so even in this case, in fact, you can see here, if I buy it for 450 and it appraises at 450, I'm still in this. I'm getting a 75% loan to value. Yeah, I'm putting some money into it. So really my overall, I'm in this at 84%. And so, and again, hence why I say, hey, like I want to have them put 20% down. I'll put 5, so lower loan to value. But yeah, so all in, I'm in this 85%, and I paid retail for it. Many fix and flippers, at the end of the deal, they're not even in the deal 85%. So in my opinion, like, dude, I'm in this as good as a fix and flip, if not better in many cases, at the end of the deal. Because even if I have to sell this house tomorrow and I pay realtor, title, escrow, all that kind of stuff, like if I overpay, pay like 7% in fees, I'm still cashing out potentially. Or I drop the price and sell it fast and I get all my money back, every penny. Because I drop it, 5% below market or 6% below market or whatever. Anyway, really quick on that. My signature deal is I buy the house retail value and I'm in it better than a fix and flip the day I buy it because of my end buyer's down payment. Whew. On the same day. Amazing. All right. Love you all. We'll see you in a week.
Appreciate you, Dan.
Go have
Thank you so
conversations.
much. Love you too. Bye for
Peace.
now.